Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with a new video, still Feed the Beast, Direwolf 20 pack, except this time it's not the survival multiplayer series. I'm actually doing a tutorial video. It's been a while. I do have a contraption here, obviously, which I'd like to show, but I'm going to be showing you how to build something similar, but actually more efficient. Essentially, let me explain this machine to you first. The idea is pulverizers can take one blaze rod and turn it into 6 blaze powder, which is actually 3 times the normal amount. Normally you can craft a blaze rod into 2, or rather you can craft, yes, a blaze rod into 2 blaze powder. So the minium stone, which comes as part of EE3 or equivalent exchange 3, what it can do is if you go ahead and put that blaze powder with a minium stone, you can craft it back into blaze rods. So essentially, the idea here is you go ahead and set the system up where pulverizer pulverizes the blaze rods, then puts them in an auto crafting table that has a extra supply of minium stones, and then you pump out the blaze rods and you get 3 times as many blaze rods as you put in. So then you can use those blaze rods to power some engines, as I'm doing here. And those engines can power the pulverizer and plenty of other things. Oops. They can provide tons of excess power. The only other input is an aqueous accumulator, which makes water for free from 2 water source blocks. So it's a very self-contained system, and the only output to worry about, other than excess blaze rods, which is the reason why this is inefficient. The engines actually can't handle the amount of blaze rods that this thing produces. The only other output, as I was saying, to worry about is sulfur. Sulfur you actually get as a byproduct of smelting, or rather pulverizing, the blaze rods. You get it occasionally, and it is useful, but you get a ton of it depending on how many of these blaze rod generators you have. So for now I'm just void piping it, but you can make it to make sulfur torches, which are very bright, and obviously you get quite a lot of them from just one sulfur. The sulfur this is obviously a different type of sulfur, you might have noticed. Let's see if I can catch one. Well, you can see it in the pipe. This is uncooked sulfur, and then you can cook it, and that it becomes like that, and then you can use that to make torches. But let's go ahead and get started on the new build. I only have one part of it out so far, that's the project table, but I'm going to start with the piece de resistance, the solid fueled firebox. This is actually the thing that's going to be taking all of the blaze rods that's going to be making, and it's going to burn them and turn them into steam. So let's go ahead and lay this down. We lay it down in a 9x9 pattern. You can actually make these 2x2 or just 1, and then have the other part, which is low pressure boilers or high pressure boilers on top of them. But by doing this, we can have a large number of boilers. This is actually the maximum. You can have just 2, that will work fine. But we're going to go all the way because the largest size is the most efficient. So you'll notice once we go ahead and finish this, it will, boom, turn into a solid 1 steam boiler. So now we can put these away. The reason why I'm using low pressure boilers is because I tried using high pressure boilers and they simply use up the blaze rods too quickly. So we're going with low pressure boilers, and hopefully that will be able to sustain itself nicely. So let's go ahead and put these away. Another thing to note is that low pressure and high pressure boilers both actually give the same amount of steam per fuel. However, you will just get the high pressure boiler will use the fuel more quickly and give you steam more quickly. So that's the only difference. But again, moving along, we just need to get out in aqueous accumulator. We'll go ahead and put this here. Actually, Instead, let's put that here so that it's facing... That won't work either. I think this should work. We'll see. Then let's go ahead and, I don't know, reinforced glass. That'll look cool. Okay. Not there yet. Get rid of this. Water. Now for now I'm using creative mode, but this is a feasible build in survival mode. It's not all that expensive, so I would actually recommend you to make this in your single player worlds, as it's quite profitable. I hate that when that happens. But anyway, this should start generating water quite quickly. Yes, and it is automatically draining it into this and filling it up very quickly. You might be wondering why I was so obsessive over the face. Really, we could have just made it face this way, but these things produce so much water, it's really just best to leave it so that you can access the sides, and the face is not an accessible side. So I figured I'd leave it like this, that way in case we need water for anything else we can get it out of there. Really, we won't, but just in case. Alright, next step is drawing the actual steam out of there. To do that, we'll use liquiducts. You can use waterproof Buildcraft pipes, but these are actually faster. They can draw out more liquid, or steam in this case. Gas. Right. Then we'll need to change it so that it's an output. And we will... Alright, now it's time to talk about numbers. Each cubic meter of this low pressure boiler will produce 10 steam per tick. And by the way, a cubic meter, a Minecraft block is a cubic meter, so that's what they mean by that. And so since each one of these provides 10 steam per tick, what we can do is, with all the way up to here, this is 36 total blocks, 9 times 4, and that will power 9 commercial steam engines, I believe. So we'll just go ahead and run this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because commercial steam engines use 20 steam per tick. Alright, so we got all those. Connect them up with conduits so that they can give the power to somewhere. Then put all of these so that they're outputs, or inputs, whichever way you want to think about it. Basically, orange means that it's going to be able to draw power from a device. Then we'll go ahead and face them the correct way. Good. Alright, next up we will connect up a pulverizer, actually right there. And again, this is what's going to be smashing up those blaze rods. And last, an auto crafting table, which we happen to have right here. Alright. So now we've got that, let's set up the recipe. Got one of these. And again, I am right clicking to clear this. Let's just get a stack of these and stack of these. Oh yes, it's actually best to keep this at a stack, because essentially this thing has a problem where it'll not distribute materials, it'll put them in one stack and it'll fill up one stack before going to the other stack. So if you don't have a whole stack here, you'll have to manually redistribute the blaze powder. So it's just my recommendation. In survival though, you might not have enough blaze powder to do that. So again, your decision. Next up, we need a way of getting the blaze rods out of here and distributing them to this and back to the steam boiler. So instead of using boring old redstone engines, we're going to use a fun new item. Oops. We'll go ahead and put this wooden transport pipe here, but then instead of getting a redstone engine, we will get an autarkic gate. These are hard to make, but they're much less expensive than redstone engines, and they can do the same thing. All we have to do is right click on it, and you have a set of conditions. You can just choose from it. They really did a great job with programming this and giving just as many options as possible. But for now, we'll just use redstone signal off energy pulser, which means it's going to draw out anything that this thing makes. So then we'll get some stone pipes and run them along. Doesn't matter that they can actually go right over these. They won't connect because these don't have anything to put in them other than steam. And then we can just run it right into the boiler. Except they actually need to go into the firebox. So there we go. Now these pipes will automatically redistribute and try to keep this thing relatively full. But since we know the exact rate of blaze rods in to blaze rods out, we can actually use a better item called the, I believe, the distribution gate, or rather pipe. No, you could again, this is another optional, completely optional thing. You don't really need this item, but it'll make it a little more precise. So since I can't seem to find that, we'll just use a diamond 1, which will also work. And we'll make it so that, let's see, red and black is the actual pulverizer, so 1 will go in black for every 2 that go in red. And that should work perfectly. Now we'll set up the pulverizer. Let's see, the top should be blue. Let's see, the left should be red. And we will make the back be yellow, because what we're going to do is we're just going to, that's where the sulfur is going to come out, which I warned you about earlier. So we'll just void pipe it for now, but you can choose to do whatever you want to do with that. Alright, now we actually have this thing pretty much set up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 more to the end, and I'm going to add a redstone energy cell. Yes, there's one thing I forgot, and that is, first of all, these are a bit finicky. Sometimes they need a lever to make them draw from a source. We'll see whether that needs a lever, but these engines always need an energy source, a redstone energy source, in order to start running. So what we'll just do is we'll just, forgive me for my bad design choice, but I'm gonna do it. We'll just flip all these on. The next step is to power this steam boiler. It's going to take a lot of fuel, and it's going to take quite a while to heat up. It's going to need to heat up to 100 degrees Celsius, which is the boiling point of water, until it starts to produce steam. And then I'll actually cut until then. So let me just finish placing the levers, and then I'll see you once this thing has begun to produce steam. See ya. And we're back. So, I've made one small change. I rechecked my math, and it is actually industrial steam engines. You can power 9 of these with 36 of these. Or you can do just 2 of 9, in other words 18, to power 9 commercial. Because essentially commercial ones take 20 steam per tick and industrial ones take 40, so that's twice. You get the math. I'm sure all of you are fairly intelligent. So, as I was saying, it's actually time to put the blaze rods in and see this thing start working away. We'll put in half a stack, and we'll see that it puts it in here, and then voila, we have our first blaze rods. Now this thing just ran out of coal. It's at 112 degrees Celsius. But hopefully these blaze rods will be enough to keep it satiated. Now I did have to use those levers, and it's actually without the arrows that you want these for whatever reason. As I said, they're kind of finicky. I think the guy maybe like changed them at some point, and that's why it confused me somehow. This is cooling down, but it's about to receive its first ones. Should receive 3 of them in fairly quick succession. Alright, now that didn't really do much for it. So for now, I think we'll give it power. But once this thing actually does get to 500 degrees Celsius, which is the maximum, it does, I believe, use them at an actually, sane rate. Let's see if this thing's keeping up. Not... Well, maybe. It's strange. You would think that this math would be precise and it would work exactly the way it's supposed to. But it doesn't seem to be doing that. It does seem as though... Oh, well, 3, 4 just passed 5. This isn't exactly reliable. It probably would be best to just use that normal stone pipe. I think I'll replace that right now, and we'll see if that does any better at keeping it stocked. Let's see if this is... Okay, it is actually heating up. That is good. Although, we did put that stack in earlier, or half a stack. Let's go ahead and fill this up. Yes, it is staying. Let's keep it at around 18. That sounds good. And let's see if this is heated up or cooled down. Just as a final test, it has heated up. And then cooled immediately back down. Because of the altering frequency of the blaze rods it's receiving. But overall, it seems to be heating up. So, I'd say that this is a success. Now actually, while I was waiting for this thing to heat up, which did take a little while, I discovered a new technique, and I think you can be expecting a video about that fairly soon. So, I'll see you then. But for now, be sure to have a great day. Surprise, I'm back. I decided to just include the part with the other idea right in this video because it's actually quite simple. At the moment, this design isn't completely functional, and it really depends on luck too much. Essentially, the idea is a scrap box, which I don't have at the moment, but a scrap box is made out of, let's see if I can get one. Come on, come on, come on. Well, okay, it's made out of scrap. Essentially, if you take 9 scrap and just fill up a crafting grid with it, it'll make a scrap box. And a scrap box can actually produce quite a lot of heat, and I may have just had another idea. Let's see, I'm going to open up my calculator real quick. And what I'm going to check is I just realized that this actually provides heat as well, 870. So let's see what 870 times 9 is. That is 7,830. compared to the scrap box, which makes 7,870. So you do actually gain 40 EU by combining them all into the scrap box. So never mind, no new idea. I was going to say maybe it's more efficient to actually burn these individually, but the idea is you have a generator, a battery box. This is just an MFSU to store extra power, which is kind of acting as the problem right now. I think if I got rid of this, it might work better. We'll see. So, this generator powers this battery box, which powers this recycler. This thing actually produces cobblestone for free. All you need to do is give it lava and water. Just like in real Minecraft, you can produce cobblestone for free with lava and water. So you don't actually need 2 buckets of water, just 1 will do. And then this thing will produce cobblestone. I have it traveling out of the bottom into this recycler, where it is then recycled using the power that comes from the battery box to make scrap, which goes into this craft packet stamper, or actually I think it's just called a packager rather, and that will automatically try to fill something in a 4x4 pattern, and then if that doesn't work, it'll try a 9x9, and since this can go 9x9, that's what it does, and it automatically produces a scrap box, which is then sucked out of here by the automatic gate and put into the generator, which then feeds the battery box. So this is actually a completely self-sustaining system. However, it is a little faulty in that if you have an MFSU here, I've noticed that it does actually produce, depending on your luck, more energy than it takes. But again, sometimes it doesn't. So let's just give it a bit of coal to let it finish the current one it's working on. We just need 4 more. Don't ask me why I did that. I know someone's gonna ask in the comment section why I did that. And I'll still answer them because I'm a nice guy. And the answer will be, I didn't do it on purpose. So now this thing's producing power, this thing's getting power, it's sending it to the recycler, which is making the scrap out of the cobblestone, and it's going into here. We've already got 6. It really shouldn't take too long. I believe it's like a 1 in 7 or so chance, maybe less, maybe more. Let's see. Come on, you can do it, old girl. I believe in ya. There's 1. That'll be traveling up the pipe, and 7. I'll put an annotation where you can skip over the waiting part, I guess, because I'm not going to say anything important. Except I'll put it at the beginning of when we're waiting for the next scrap. Come on, then. There we are. And that will complete it. So then you get the 9, makes it into the scrap box, and then puts it into here where it's burned. And then that will keep the system going. So you can see it is producing quite a bit more power than the coal does. It actually produces, I believe, twice as much as coal. In here, at least. Scrap boxes can actually be burned in here, but for much less relative power. Oh, and one more change. I was going to put this in an annotation. If you just leave it with no output and no levers, it'll work fine. So that's that's apparently how it's done now. Probably has something to do with the way the boiler's like pushing the steam into it. They tried to make it scientifically accurate or something. And the other change that I made is I added 1 more, because these engines were only outputting 7 Minecraft joules when they should be outputting 8. So it is still powering 9, it's just that these can only draw so much steam. So I just put 2 extra ones. I could probably only go with 1 extra, but that's what I did. So you can see this has, oh my goodness, that is quite a lot more power. So yes, this is definitely a self-sustaining system. You just have to figure out a way to make it so that an MFSU doesn't always take this power. I think you get what I'm saying. See, and this is only halfway done burning. Oh, okay, well, more than halfway. I suppose a more continuous system would actually possibly be better, because then you probably could have the MFSU without affecting it too much. And by more continuous, I mean not packaging it into the box. Even though you get 30 less power, you're getting power more consistently. So that would probably allow you to do the MFSU thing. I think I'm actually going to leave it here, and maybe you'll come up with some solutions. So please, yes, do improve on it, and you can leave it in a video response, your solution to this problem, or your improvement on this device. Please do. And also, maybe post your opinion on whether you're liking the FTB series so far. I know I've only gotten 2 episodes out, and the second episode was somewhat hectic with the extra person, Jared. But we'll keep doing them. Actually, we might have to stop. There was a little problem on the server that we're on. They removed the protection plugin, and someone stole all of our diamonds. So we'll see whether we can get those back, and we may or may not continue. Might just do a single player series, something like that. We'll see. But yes, be sure to post your opinions, and this is doing well. This almost has 9. So again, this pretty much proves that it's a self-sustaining system. There's no way that you could be unlucky enough with this to actually produce not enough to gain. There we go, there's one. So this is effectively going to run forever. And it's very small and compact, so you could make this anywhere. And not that expensive. So as long as you can solve the MFSU problem, or like the extra storage problem, or you can just take power out of it regularly, then you're good to go. This is great. So, as always, have a great day, again, for the second time.